Is Bruce Wayne willing to risk it all in order to escape this horrifying dream world, and what new enemies wait for him beyond? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman number 69 and find out for ourselves, shall we? Alrighty then, so stop me if you've heard this one before. As we join the comic, Batman is still stuck in a dream. This one is a little nicer though than the ones we've seen previously. There's music all around. Of course, because this is a comic book and you can't actually hear the music and there's not a text box telling you what tune all of these lyrics go to, it doesn't really do much for me, but this isn't really so much a problem with this comic as it is a pet peeve in general whenever comics try and incorporate music. Now, back in the real world, or at least what I will assume is the real world, because the comic does nothing to actually differentiate the dream scenes from the non-dream scenes, Bane is sparring with Thomas Wayne. Oh yeah, these two are super chummy with each other. No, we're not going to tell you how they met just yet, or indeed how long Thomas Wayne has been in the main Earth, but here you go. And also, Bane spars naked, just in case you're wondering, so why yes, the man who broke Batman's back did indeed almost certainly dust his sack against Batman's dad. Just, let that image haunt your dreams and every waking moment from here on forward. The crazy part is, Batman says to Dream Catwoman that he's actually totally aware that Bane is working with his father from the Flashpoint universe, and this doesn't shock him or completely ruin him like you think it would. He says that at the end of the day, his father, Thomas Wayne, and Bane actually both want the same thing, and that is for him to stop being Batman. That's a bit of a jump. Flashpoint Dad told Bruce the last time that they met that, he should give up being Batman so he could be happy. Bane wants to kill him. Furthermore, in the Flashpoint universe, was not Thomas Wayne a take-no-prisoners, brutal vigilante type who had no bones about killing criminals? Why is he now willing to ally himself with one? Batman also spends multiple pages this issue talking about how he always knew that he was in a dream, one induced by scarecrow poison, because Batman tried a bunch of scarecrow poison. Because he always wanted to be prepared for situations just like this one, no matter how outlandish they might be, even though if you've been reading this story, you know that's a bold-faced lie, because seemingly Batman has been at war with his subconscious this whole time, and even when Dream Constantine told him the truth, he chose to forget it and just carry on, because every dream wiped his memory, except for this, which might not be a nightmare, it might be something different, I don't know. I can literally never tell in these stories if Tom King is actively trying to make Batman into a giant hypocrite or if it's all just an accident. Another interesting thing we discover this issue about the Bane-Thomas Wayne dynamic is that Bane actually likes Thomas more because unlike Batman, he's willing to cheat to win. Maybe Thomas can teach Bane about not going through with such complex, convoluted plans and instead just go with the old-fashioned shoot-him-in-the-face routine. Now, while all of this has been going on, Batman has been talking to Dream Catwoman about his fears and what it's going to take to get himself out of this toxin-induced coma. He says that one of the major flaws with Scarecrow's poison is that if you actually get more scared than you've ever been before, that will create a rush of endorphins in your amygdala, which will end up setting you free. That seems like a massive flaw in this poison and something we've never heard of before right now in this comic, and probably something the Scarecrow should consider fixing in the future, am I right? But what is Batman's greatest fear according to Tom King? What's the one thing that can literally shock his system back to reality? Well, that is coming to terms with the fact that maybe he never actually loved Catwoman the way he said he did. Maybe that he did read her letter after being stood up at the aisle, and maybe he doesn't blame her because maybe at the end of the day he's more addicted to being Batman than he is in love with her. Again, really, 69 issues in and that's all you got. That's your big unifying theory about Batman. He's bad at relationships and his relationship will always suffer because he's a superhero. It's like, yeah, no shit, as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Batman issue number 69, everybody, and to its credit, stuff actually did happen this issue. That stuff was very confusing, but hey, credit where credit is due. While I fear what the potential answers could be, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't somewhat interested in seeing what exactly brought Bane and Thomas Wayne together. And if Flashpoint Daddy could potentially be redeemed, and if so, what that would actually mean to the larger DC universe as a whole. But then again, that's like 2 pages out of the full 22 here. The rest of the story is, basically everything that's been wrong with every other story in this arc, and that is it's a dream and nothing really matters. And even the stuff that's supposed to matter when we eventually do get to it after a long slog, and that is Tom King's big thesis statement on what makes Batman tick and why he can never be happy. be. It all just ends up being so trite and basic. Batman is a jerk. It stops him from, getting closer to people. We've seen this a million times in a million Batman stories, and it's not nearly as profound or as interesting as this story and this arc tries to make it out to be. Yanick Paquette is yet another amazing comic book artist whose work is kind of wasted here in this story. It doesn't go big enough. Yeah, there's some minor fun stuff to be had about how Selene and Bruce kind of, change costume here and there in reference to stories that have taken place. But I feel like even this book has done that stuff before better elsewhere in other stories up to this point, which is why I can really only give this a 5.5 out of 10. Still, not the worst this book has done.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, did you know, outside just making great weekly comic videos, I'm also on several comic book podcasts, some of which are very popular. There's the Weekly Pull, which the shirt I'm wearing right now. That one goes every other Tuesday. Then there's the Elseworlds Exchange over on the Comic Pop channel. That's every Wednesday around 3 to 5, give or take. And then how could I possibly forget the Comic Multiverse, the show hosted by myself and Matt of Fortress of Solitude. That one goes live on this channel every Wednesday at 8, and also SoundCloud and iTunes later on. Be sure to check out and subscribe to those if you haven't already. I assure you, you won't be mistaken.